slaves were brought to America by ships, and during long travels, slaves had no way of escaping and living. There was no room for them to move. Slaves were forced from their homes in Africa. Being put on ships, they went to new continents for a new life, but this new life was a life of endurance, of struggling and pain. Slaves worked on plantations. They were not allowed to practice their cultures, or religions. They were trapped in a life of pain. It seemed as if they had no influence on American culture. However, their roles were important for the economy. Although there were better options than slaves, work got done, and trade was influenced by them. Meanwhile, women had little or no say in what happened in the government, the economy, or anything for that matter. Although it was women who had great ideas on how things should have been run, they found ways to get their ideas across, like talking to their husbands who were higher up in the social class. Those men would speak for them, for they had no say. Those ideas would be used and proved that women influenced America. This is a social class pyramid for the 1800s. Slaves are at the bottom, who had zero say in anything. They weren't allowed to have religious freedom or practice their culture. Some slaves rebelled, but endangered themselves. Those slaves who rebelled also endangered the safety of their family and friends. Slaves also made communities for themselves. Non-Americans included anyone from a different ethnic background. Although they were a different race, it didn't mean they were slaves. They were at the bottom of the social ladder, and had little or no say in what happened. They could have worked as merchants, or low-class jobs. Women had little say in what happened, yet they had many ideas that powered America. Women spread their ideas by having lunches with each other and by talking to their husbands. Lower class was made up of the women, non-Americans, and small job workers. The lower class worked and didn't have much influence on big ideas. The middle class contained of trade officials, and merchants. The middle class were the ones who brought goods into America, and sent goods out of America. Without these people, America wouldn't be influenced by so many goods from Britain and other many areas. The high-class men were the ones who spoke for their wives, and were big influences on America. They went to meetings and court for laws being passed. They may have not been in the government, although some were. These men played a huge influence on America. The government contained the Treasury of State, and people who ran for president. The government was made up of the military and army, and the officials who ran the military. Court officials and judges also could be put in this class. The president was one of the biggest trolls in America. And it still is. The president represented their class and passed laws. The president would be in charge of what alliances America made, and who America sided with in wars. It can be said that without the president, America would fall out of unity. Slaves are probably the class that has went through the most change over time. The Missouri Compromise in 1820 changed slavery forever. The Missouri Compromise determined which states were slave states and which states were free states. The North of America was made up of free states, while the South of America was seen as slave states, indicated by green and red on the map. The slave class also was changed by a promise of freedom for joining the Continental Army. They fought for the Army and the United States for freedom. Another concept that has changed was the classes of Federalists and Republicans. Not only has their ideas changed over time, which was somewhat due to who was elected as president, the Federalist Party actually died off. Not only did the Republican Party win, but they started influencing which laws were passed and which are ideas of America. The role of the president has also changed over time. Obviously, who is president has changed and what the president represented and supported has changed. The ideas have changed because of who was president. These ideas have influenced what happened to the United States, such as the Alien and Sedition Acts and even the War of 1812. The face of the United States was the president. And the president changed and so did the alliances with different countries. As presidents went in and out of the White House, the alliances with Britain, France, and more were altered by the decisions of the president. The economy changed due to what the president supported and opposed. Wars led to depressions which meant the economy plummeted. From the 17th to 19th centuries, the presidents, women, and races all have changed tremendously. These changes all impacted America and the views of its people. These changes left an everlasting effect on who we are today. From indentured servants to wars to presidency, America was affected by every role in the economy. Without women, ideas wouldn't have been spread, and we would not see such an influence. Without slaves, the economy would have fallen, and without a leader, there would be no unity in America.